Hi YouTube, ACDodd here again, and welcome to another episode of On The Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. And this time I've got another couple of minis for you, but we're going to go back to a customer that we went to a few months back. So let's see how he's got on with his car. So here I am again. Now some of you will recognise this one because this is a return customer job. And this is the one that had many issues, and I couldn't tune it on the day purely because we couldn't control the fueling. So the customer has called me back down to this lovely blue road racer to now complete the tune after he's done some remedial work that we set in some homework last time. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So we'll just remind ourselves, if you go back and look at Series 4, Episode 21, you'll see my first visit to this car, and you'll see me go through the engine and then come up with a whole myriad of issues that I found. So what's happened? Well, the owner has very diligently taken my advice, and he has fitted a rebuilt Ep34. This is one of mine, so it's an ACDodd rebuild. He's also fitted a pressure gauge, a fuel pressure regulator and a new fuel pump. So that's all installed and all working, which is excellent. He has looked at the fan, by the way, because the fan was on the wrong way. The fan is still on the wrong way. So please don't chastise him on this video because he knows it's on the wrong way, but he's got a problem with spacing with the crankcase breather. So that needs looking at. So he's still got work to do on that. But in terms of the engine, it now starts and runs, and it runs quite well. So what we're doing today is to finish off the tune. So come back down and hopefully get all this these new parts dialed in and get this engine running as best it can. So you may be thinking, why are all the plugs black? We've just taken it out. Well, I can tell you why that is. And that is because these are the new plugs I fitted last time. This car has been not driven on the road since the work's been done. So they've got a coating of soot from when they were when it was running with the old setup. Now it's got the new setup on. It's only been started up on choke, driven out of the garage and driven back in. So we've got obviously black plugs. You can actually see on number 4 and number 1 the tip just starting to clean up, and that's because I've only just turned the base idle setting lean to get this to run clean, which it is. So now I'm not going to change those because there's no miles on them, and they're running clean at the moment. So I'm actually going to put them back in, and after the car's had a test drive, we should hopefully see them start to clean up nicely. It's always nice to come back to a car that I've already previously been to, especially when the owner has taken all my advice and done the work, and this guy has, which is fantastic. So we were able to dig straight in with the tune. Now looking at those plugs there, the reason why I've got that in there is so that you can look at it and go, oh, it's running terribly. No, again, when you read the plugs, you've got to understand the background and history and how things are and how that's got like it was. So yes, they did soot up, but that was because for the previous running, and since he's done the work, it's been run on choke, so to run it out the garage, etc. So this car hasn't moved anywhere in terms of gone up the road and been driven and all the rest of it. The guy's done the work and literally called me down once the work's done to actually finish the tune. So without further ado, let's dig in and see what we need to do to get this dialed in. So I've just quickly gone through the ignition system. It's all the same as before. Those plugs are still black, but they're going to clean up now as the fueling is now under control. The dwell angle's 54.5, so that's perfect. The vacuum unit is working nicely, and the timing curve is actually very good in the distributor. So in terms of ignition, yes, it's only a 3-ohm coil, but it's all working as it should. So while we're at it, I'll just show you the fuel pressure gauge. We can see there, that's now set to 2.5 psi, which is where I like it set for a Ep34. And irrespective of what you do with the engine, that's nice and stable, and it's under control, which is what we want. The carburetor appears to be working well. I've actually checked the fueling, straight out of the box, this carburetor is absolutely ideal. So I don't need to touch the fueling at any part throttle point. So this has got a BDL needle in it, so that needle is absolutely ideal for this engine. But what I will do is add some fueling at the top end, because I think it's probably a little bit lean. So I'll do that now, and then actually we're almost done, and that's purely because I've done a good job last time in terms of sorting the ignition out, and the owner hadn't done much to it other than fix all the faults we'd highlighted. So yeah, in reality this engine is feeling much better now with all these parts on. So let's get on and finish that needle, and we'll go from there. So as it initially looks, not much to do. Well, when you have a rebuilt carb and you fit them on an engine and you reset the parameters in the carburetor, like putting a typical needle that was fitted back in the day with a new spring, it sometimes comes up to be somewhere near right. Now, this particular case, the fueling was very good across the rev range, but we still needed some tweaks. So just because it looks right here doesn't mean to say it's right all the way across the rev range. So in this particular case, it wasn't too bad, but my point is this does happen, and some cars come up absolutely right with an off-the-shelf needle, but that's by no means every car. Now, when you've got a good carburetor and a good fuel system, you'll see that the system actually, after the engine stopped, actually holds pressure. In actual fact, the pressure is actually raised from 2.5 to 3, and that's because we've stopped the engine, there's heat soak, and it just builds pressure in the pipe. So it's the heat from the manifold. So the important thing to understand is that is how you tell your fuel system is sealed and actually holding pressure, because the needle valve in the bottom of that carb, you can see there's no fuel escaping from that jet, so it's able to control that and not flood and still maintain the line pressure, which is excellent. Now, this is interesting. I'm commenting on this here because this is one of the reasons why you get poor hot starting. When an engine's actually been turned off and the fuel system is doing what it should do, which is shut the fuel off, you can get a pressure rise, and that is due to the heat under the bonnet warming up the fuel and causing a pressure rise. So what happens is, if you've got a needle valve which is marginal, that will actually start leaking, and that extra fuel will find its way into an engine, which will then make a rich mixture in the engine, and when you try and restart it, it won't, because it'll cough and splutter, and it won't catch straight away. So very, very common, and this is taken care of nicely by using a fuel pressure regulator, which is why I actually recommend a fuel pressure regulator on any Mini and any SU application. On the needle lathe now, all I've done with the BDL needle that's supplied in the carb, comes with a new red spring and this needle as I ship them, and the fueling's actually really good at part throttle. So all I've done is I've added fuel at the top end. So yeah, with that in mind, let's get it back in the car, and hopefully this one's going to run real strong. So got this one all back together. Last time we had some severe air leaks on the inlet manifold. Now the owners addressed those, but we still got some leaking going on. So the owner's told me he's intending to change the exhaust system. So for today, I've managed to get it working reasonably well, but we're still not absolutely perfect on the seal. So in terms of emissions, I'm struggling to get it as clean as I'd like, but in terms of being able to dial it in and run, this is much better. So as usual, it's time for the test drive. So owner's been out for a test drive. I asked him to go out for a good 15 minutes, and the reason why is so we can get some time to get those plugs clean. So these are the same spark plugs, believe it or not, and in that test drive they've actually cleaned themselves, and that's the point. An engine has to clean its own spark plugs to keep them nice, and it can only do that if the heat range is right, the car is driven properly, and of course it's tuned properly and it's burning correctly. So as usual, my work here is done. I get all sorts of comments about spark plugs and, oh, you know, those spark plugs are too lean and all the rest of it. Well, the problem is I don't know where you're getting your information from, but you're not basing it on modern fuel. Modern fuel burns differently, okay? Now,
Fuels from yesteryear used to burn slightly different colours, and because the fuels had different compounds in them. Nowadays, your fuel burns clean, and it leaves a nice white spark plug. So when it's a white spark plug, it means it's burning off all the impurities, and everything is is leaving the plug clean and able to burn and maintain a good clean electrode, and they're obviously not foul in service. That's the idea. So spark plugs need to look like they do in the picture on an engine that's running properly and tuned properly. All right, if you're using additives or you're using leaded fuel, they ain't going to look that way, and that's the important thing to understand.
Okay, second car, and this is a lovely looking little another little road racer type 1275 GT. This one appears to be, although looks it and there, but I don't think it's got a 1275 engine. So let's have a look under the bonnet and see what we've got here. So we have a 998 now, and it's not just any 998, it's actually a later 80s 998. So it's got a Verto clutch, it's an A+ block. So yeah, it looks like it's had an engine change at some point, but that's not the issue. The issue is we need to get it running properly. So owner doesn't want to appear on a camera, which is absolutely fine. So I'll go and work out what's wrong with it, and then let's dig in. So dive straight in, pull the spark plugs out. Initially they don't look too bad on the fueling, but with these multi-prong plugs you can't really get it's very difficult to get the spark plug gap right, and we only want 25 thou on these. So I'm going to take these out and put a set of standard BP5 ES plugs in, gap to 25 thou, and we'll go from there. So why am I going to the carburetor? Well, when I was just looking at the engine when it was running, she started flooding out of the float bulb. So first job I've got to do is to have a look at that and try and sort out that leak before we can carry on with the tune. This is a quite common problem coming out to classic cars with SUs, and that is the carburetor hasn't been touched for so many years that the needle valve's actually worn out. Now in this particular case, you'll see in a minute the needle valve was well worn out, and that was the problem. So it wasn't the fact that we had detritus in the fuel or dirt or any of that. This was literally a worn carb, and as it turns out, it wasn't the only part of that carburetor that was worn. In reality, moving on, this carburetor could really do with a rebuild, and you'll see why in a minute, because you can see the condition of the needle valve. So let's get down to brass tacks, or as in this case, brass tips. And we can see from that is well worn. That's the needle valve assembly in the float chamber, which is causing it to flood. So what's next to it is the replacement Viton tip version. So I'll get that changed. That's a genuine SU one. So we'll get that put in and get that problem solved. So got it back together, but only from the ignition point of view. So change the coil from a 3 ohm to a 1.4 ohm to go with a variable dwell distributor. Advance curve's okay, maybe a little bit slow at 2000 revs, but for today, plenty good enough. Obviously change the spark plugs to BP5s, and now we're going to turn our attention to the carburetor. So problems I'm still finding are people who haven't got the right coils on. So if you've got a electronic ignition that's got variable dwell, okay, there is no point in putting a 3 ohm coil on. And the reason for that is because you're actually reducing the power during cranking and idle. All right, so this will basically cause the lean limit misfire point to actually become richer. So what that basically means is you have to run a richer fuel mix to avoid a lean miss. All right, now that might sound a bit strange, but the point is if you run a higher power coil, you can actually run leaner before you get that misfire, and that's important for cruising. All right, so this is where understanding your ignition system can pay dividends, because having the right coil on means that you can fire off the right spark plug gap, and you can obviously put the correct energy in to your cylinder to actually ignite off that lean fuel mix.
Obviously, we've got to have the right rating ignition module, because if ignition module's not rated for that lower ohm coil, then you can't obviously run that, and it will cause a problem with reliability, overheat and burnout. So the the bottom line here is, if you've got a variable dwell, you will usually be okay to run a 1.4 ohm coil, but you can't necessarily go all the way down to a 0.8 ohm coil unless the actual module is rated for it. So why am I showing you the needles? Well, the one that came out of it was the usual treble A, right? And you can guess what I'm going to say. Yep, it's too rich. So we've changed it for an AAF, and weirdly on this one it's just about right, but we've got to put a little bit more fuel at the top end. So we're going to do that now, and then in the needle lathe, and then this should be ready to go. Engine's all back together and we're running. This is as far as I can take this one. We're burning a bit of oil, so it's actually affecting the readings on the lambda gauge, but I've got it somewhere near right. So just to recap, we've got 1.4 ohm coil. The timing was set perfectly where it was, so I left it there. I took out the multi-prong plugs and put in some BP5s set at 25 thou, and then we turned our attention to the carburetor. Obviously we had to change the needle valve, get that replaced because of the very warm one that was in it. That has solved the problem, so there's no more leaks, which is excellent. Onto the carburetor itself, the dash pot I couldn't get off because the air filter was hard up against it, so I've had to file a bit off the dash pot to give us a bit of clearance, which now is now done. They already had a new red spring in here, which is good. So now what I've done is I've taken the treble A needle out, which was way too rich. I put an AAF needle in there and then modified that at the top end of the rev range. What I also did with this one is add 2050 oil, so I've thinned that out to some 1040, and yeah, she's good to go. So time for a test drive. Been out for a test drive, and this is interesting because this engine's burning oil, and we can see that because that's a new plug, and the one on the left is getting a bit of a coating of oil, and obviously the one on the right is what's come out of it. So you don't, and I already advised the customer on this one because of the amount of oil smoke that was coming out the back. I said don't expect clean plugs, and obviously that's exactly what I mean. But in terms of the tune, this one is very much done. Yes, interesting. So, not clean plugs after the tune. Why is that? Burning oil. This engine would put out a nice stream of blue smoke when you revved it up. So you just blip the throttle, blue smoke came out, and then obviously at any point that you close the throttle, smoke stop. When you touch the throttle again, more blue smoke. So yeah, well-worn engine. Now, when you're burning that much oil, it's going to show up on the spark plugs because you can't burn that off. And that's the point. So we like to show pictures of nice clean spark plugs, but when you've got an oil burner, that's not going to happen, and that's something to bear in mind. In terms of the fueling, it was all good, but oil burning was making our plugs not look so clean. So anyway, that brings me to the episode, the end of this episode, beg your pardon. So if you want to see any more, please like, subscribe and share, and also hype, because that's now an option. So I would appreciate if you can hype this video. That would be fantastic. Failing that, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.